Welcome to Fat Man in a Cheap Sim, and it's another replay. This time it was from a race I did a few weeks ago at Barcelona in the Alfa Romeo. It's the GT3 class, and it is of course the 4C, which is a fantastic racing car. And here I done very little practice and not set a very good time at all, but I was raring to go to see how we'd get on in the Barcelona race. It was just 4 laps of the GP track, and I was looking forward to it. So we started off in 9th position, and then as we come into the right-hander and the left-hander, we go on up the hill, and already we're challenging the guy in front in the Audi R8, and we're just nipping ahead as we go on to the short straight. In fact, we're pretty much side by side as we come through, but I've got the line for the corner and I come into the second right-hander, and you can see here I've managed to get clear. Someone has gone way on to the left, another Spanish driver has gone off, and that puts me up to 7th. Then I'm behind a couple of Porsches, and into the left-hander. The Brit in the Porsche seems to be doing alright, and it's very, very close as we come into the very tricky left-hander here where it's easy to run wide, but the Alfa was quite good in terms of handling, and that's why I thought maybe this car might be okay for this track, although many people were using the R8 and the Porsche 911. So I'm still in 7th place here. The Champion 6 goes very, very wide. Everything's getting incredibly close. There's not much space at all, and there's lots of people jiggling about. Go out into the left-hand side and just take that gap and manage to get into 5th place. A real opportunist move, but it seems to work rather well. So I'm coming round the right-hander, and considering I started in 9th to get up to 5th by the end of the first lap, I'm pretty chuffed with that. And then coming into the right-hander, then into the chicane. It's very, very tight here. Never quite managed to get it right, but people were bouncing them over on the curbs and everything. Difficult to know the exact line for that corner because it is quite tricky. And to complete lap 1 of a kind of crazy first lap, we're in 5th place. Go along the start-finish straight, which has seen lots and lots of amazing F1 GPs over the years, and then we come into the right and the left-hander. So I'm beginning to catch up a little bit with the cars in front. Went a little bit deep there, but already we've got a car ahead with a penalty, and there's lots of dust being kicked up. The second place car has got a penalty, and then here we come along into the short straight, coming into the right-hander again. And now I'm almost up with the cars in front. We keep a nice tight line there, it goes quite well. The car hung on in the corners. I was very, very busy up front. I'm looking to the left there, but I decided not to go for that move. So I'm still in 5th place. I've got the BMW M3 CS2, I think, is in front of me. And coming into the tight left-hander, what's going to happen here? Can we get through into the left and onto the right, taking not too much curb? A very tricky right-hander here as well. Going to watch the details. Going a little bit wide, but it's not been too bad. I've managed to run reasonably well, and already we've got people who have run very wide. I've had to slow down. We've got people with a penalty. One gets in the way, and I managed to nip through into 3rd place. I never thought that was possible, but the door was open, the gap was there, and I managed to get 3rd place. Now I'm up in with the 2nd place man who's got a penalty of half a second. Could it be possible that we could even get 2nd place? Well, let's see. We come into the chicane to complete lap 2. It's tight, it's tough, and the Alfa doesn't ride the curbs too well in there, but I managed to keep enough distance, and the number 2 car in the Peugeot is heading off a little bit ahead there. Sorry, I think it was a Peugeot. It actually will be a Porsche. And as we complete lap 2, we're in 3rd place. Not too bad considering we started 9th. And we're heading on down the start-finish straight. It is indeed a Porsche that's ahead of me. It is the Brit who has a half-second penalty. Can I possibly get close enough to keep the pressure on and maybe get 2nd place? We'll go into the right-hander, onto the short straight. This was, of course, the scene where Hamilton and Heidfeld, what's his name, Nico Rosberg, took each other off a few years ago, back in Formula 1, I think it was 2016. And they go into the right-hander, trying to keep it tight here. If you run out too wide, you go out onto the grass and onto the dirt, but managing to keep well on the track there. Then into the tight left-hander, trying to keep the car balanced, and off they go. The Alfa was actually surprisingly reasonable Many people are struggling to get out the bends, but the Alfa wasn't too bad here. I did have another race after this, and I think I used the Audi, and it was absolutely terrible. I was all over the place. I just couldn't quite put it all together, but this car seemed to work pretty well. And then we go on to the short back straight. This is where the car in front has its penalty, but he's only half a second, and it's just not enough. I didn't quite get close enough to him on the preceding corner. So we're still in third place, but we're keeping right up there. We have a reasonable exit of the hairpin. A very tough corner that, because you're really going to have it nice and slow, but then get a good exit to get out onto these tricky left and right hand bends, and then into the chicane to complete lap 3. And I think we've got one more lap after this to do. This of course was daily race B from a few weeks ago, but my number there was number 1, which I was very surprised at. And off we go on to the start finish straight for the last time. The 4th place car is getting nearer and is beginning to put the pressure on, so I've got to make sure that I stay ahead. But here we go, look at that wonderful long straight there with the Porsche. Then it's the Alfa. Now, can I get any closer? Coming into the right-hander, then the left-hander. It looks reasonably done there. And we come through onto the long right-hand bend. It's a really tricky one. If you go too far in, you might take a bit of curve and get a penalty, or if you go too far wide, you'll certainly go well off onto the dirt, and you don't want to do that. Coming in again to the sharp right hand of the Alfa, seemed to turn in pretty well overall, using all the road as much as I can, trying to stay with that Porsche as much as possible. Into the tight left-hander we go, past the cones there, still in third place, but closing up on that Porsche, keeping the pressure on as much as possible. Down over to the left, over to the right, and into the sharp left-hand bend, up the hill, catching a bit of curb there, onto the right-hander, up the hill. Can I get a crucial good run out of here onto the short back straight? Here we go. It's not too bad, but the Porsche is still a little bit in front. Not quite enough. The comma rocket. Maybe he writes for a living. Here we go. Into the left-hander, up the hill, into the next tight left-hander, which is quite a nice bit here, but it's tricky going into that right-hander. You've got to stick on those curbs, otherwise you run out wide and lose a lot of time. Then it's a very, very short straight. Another tight, again, right-hander. Got to get a good line here, get yourself ready for the chicane. And here we go. Left, right, and then right again. It's not quite enough to get second place, but considering we started 9th on the grid, there we are. We're finished 3rd, and I'm very, very happy with that. And I thought I would put this video, as I know people like watching good races, and that was a bit of an opportunist race, you could say, for that one. And I'm looking forward to doing more live races tonight, because this will go out probably Monday morning. But that's Fat Man in a Cheap Sim that we always race Monday at 9 o'clock, 9 PM on YouTube. And I do it from my PS4, usually on GT Sport, but we might do some ACC as well. And of course, we have a lobby afterwards. So make sure you tune in for that. It's great to see you. Remember, you can subscribe and hit that like button.